Good morning. So today we're going to be talking about crisis management. Whether we're faced with a small crisis or a major global pandemic, we're in May 2020 and we're dealing with the COVID-19 one, I always look at 5 elements when dealing with any crisis. So let's start with the first one. Essential, non-essential are 2 words you're going to be living with during your crisis. And this relates to anything. Product that you're selling, inventory, things to sell, things to move, things to close, whatever you're looking at, you need to think, is this essential to my business or not? Is this something that's gonna help me sustain and get over this crisis or not? And you're gonna need to focus on what's essential and let go and shut down things that are not essential. And this brings us to the second point, which is cash flow versus profitability. In terms of crisis, we don't look at profitability in the same manner. We don't look at the same metrics or at the same KPI, but there's one thing that we need to be always focused on, which is cash flow. Cash is the only thing that can make you or break you, especially in a crisis, because you need to have enough cash to pay your salaries, to pay your raw material, to pay some rents if needed. So focusing on cash is essential in any crisis to make sure that you have enough tools and enough juice to keep you going. So this is number 2. Number 3 is different revenue streams, because most people, when faced with a crisis, they think about cost. And rightly so, they need to think about cost, they need to shut down things, they need to take difficult decisions on things that are not essential. But few people think about growth, and this is very important. Even in a crisis, there are opportunities and you need to look for them. Whether it's this online channel that you never believed in, but now faced with this crisis, you need to get online, selling in supermarkets or in pharmacies, because this is where people are still going. You need to think during this crisis where the consumer is going, where the consumer habits are moving towards, and make sure that you're in this space, even if this is not your usual space. Point number 4 is the after crisis. And this, as a leader, this is where you have to be. You always need to think, what will my company be after the crisis? How would my client think about me after the crisis is over? How my employees or team member will think about the way I handle this crisis? How would people think about your brand? Everything needs to help you become a better brand, a better company once this crisis is over, because nothing is gonna last forever. This crisis will be over someday, and the big question is, how will you be after this crisis is over? The last point is connect. You are not alone, even in a crisis. More so in a crisis. It's connecting with the business community or the business association that I'm part of. Family connection. Even if we're confined at home, there are still ways to stay connected with your family and with your community, because irrelevant how difficult this crisis is to you, it's even more difficult to someone else. It's even more difficult to another brand, to another company, to another family. So these are the 5 points, my 5 insights for any crisis management. First, focus on what's essential and let go of what is not essential, as hard as this may sound. Second, focus on cash flow more than profitability. You need to keep an eye on profitability, obviously, but cash flow is even more important. Third is thinking of different revenue streams outside the box. Be creative. Go to places where other people didn't go yet. Fourth is keeping the after crisis in mind, because this is what's going to differentiate between a good company and a great company after the crisis is over. And 5, stay connected with your family first, with your business community, and with your community at large. See you next time.